everyone, and welcome. I'm Ennis Allen, Chair of the Humanities Department here at Prince George's Community College. The college has undergone many changes recently, from construction to brand new buildings, like the Culinary Arts Center and renovations of Lanham Hall and the Center for Performing Arts, formerly known as Queen Anne. In the midst of all that, we've also been preparing for the rollout of Pathways this coming fall, 2018. Today, I have the privilege of sitting with Dr. Clayton Railey, Executive Vice President and Provost for Teaching, Learning, and Student Success, to shed insight into how Pathways will move the college and our department forward. Thanks for joining me, Clay.
It's great to be here, Ennis. Thank you.
So, the first question I have for you, I went to the faculty retreat at the end of May, and the way you described Pathways opened my eyes. I mean, I'd heard it 100 times, but this time was the time that I really got it.
Great.
So if you could share that with us. So you explained Pathways as a response to the completion challenge that many colleges face. How do you envision Pathways?
All right. In fact, Pathways as a design strategy is meant to address two significant challenges that students and community colleges have had for years in terms of completing their programs. The research and the data across the country show that there are two, among many, but two significant challenges to students. One is that they have too many options and they get lost in the welter of options, and they don't have enough guidance to make their way through all of the options. And so Pathways is designed to address, among other issues, those two challenges. With regards to the range of options, in a lot of community colleges, including Prince George's formerly, colleges would have over 100 programs from which students could choose. And if you're a first-generation student, you may have no idea how to choose out of over the 100. You may not even know what you want to do for a career in your life. And so again, that number of options is overwhelming for a lot of students. Secondly, within a program, there are the program-specific courses, say in communication, but then there's also general electives that people can choose from to fill out their program requirements. And those general electives often are numerous in their plurality as well. And so, again, students can get hung up on choosing which courses to take when they're electives. They may end up choosing more courses than they need, so they end up taking more credits than they need beyond the 60 that they need to graduate. It takes more time to finish all those credits, and it takes more money. So Pathways wants to narrow the options that students have so that they are in a more defined pathway, if you will, to completion. So here at Prince George's, the faculty over the last year and a half have reduced the number of programs that are available to students, which is a good thing. Aligning the programs with community and business needs in the area. And then within each program, the faculty have said, okay, here's the sequence of courses you need to follow to get to the end of the program. And within that sequence, when there are electives, here are the 2 or 3 electives that we think are best for you in this program, either because it reinforces the content material of the program, or if you're going to transfer to another institution, these particular course electives will help you better in your transfer. So the first issue is the range of options, and we've narrowed those for students. So according to the data, that should really help students to completion. The other big issue has been the lack of guidance, where advising has not been mandatory. In many 4-year schools, in a growing number of 2-year schools, advising is a mandatory responsibility for the student. Before you can register, you have to talk to your advisor. And again, it makes sense, again, for students who are unfamiliar with making their way through higher education, how to get from here to there, they need a guide. And so at Prince George's here, we will be instituting what is variously called mandatory advising, intrusive advising, or case management advising. But regardless of the title, the service will be that advisors, whether they're program specific or generalists, will now have a cohort of advisees that they will mentor throughout their time in Prince George's County Community College and help them plan their way through the sequence of courses. And again, the data shows that this advising relationship is really the key to student success and student completion. So between reducing the number of options that students have and giving them an advisor that they must see before registering for the next term, we think this is going to help students make it through their programs much more successfully here.
Okay. Because of the more prescriptive general education options, what happens to students who genuinely want to substitute their planned gen ed course or 2 or 3 selected courses for something of more interest to them?
And that is always an option for the students. Yes, we've got a prescribed series of courses they have to take and a limited number of electives from which they can choose. But if in the conversation with their advisor, they think that another course not on that list would serve them better for whatever reason, whether it's self-interest or professional interest or some other reason, if in talking with their advisor, they make the case and the advisor says fine, then they're free to choose that as well then. Again, the point of the advising relationship is to help the students to think about the consequences of their choices. It's not for us to tell them what to do. We're dealing with adults. We want to help them think about the consequences and the implications. So if a student comes to us and says, I want to take World History 2, even though that's not one of the prescribed electives in this course, but I'm really interested in world history, and it fits with whatever else the student needs to do, then the student should be able to do that.
Okay, sounds good. Now, how will students in non-credit programs like developmental and ESL be immersed in the Pathways program during or after they complete their non-credit preparatory courses?
Good question. The Pathways program presumes that everybody's college ready. However, the way the faculty here at Prince George's have been in the process of redesigning the developmental education program here, there are ways in which students can get on their credit pathway even while taking some of their developmental courses. In some cases, not, but in many cases now they can either do a co-requisite or they can do in English and reading and writing and reading. There's the program called ALP, and that way they can take their credit English 1010 along with a developmental English supplemental course with that. So in some cases they may still have to finish, and this is more probably true in mathematics than it is in reading and writing. They may still have to finish some of their developmental math before they can get to the credit. But as they get further in their developmental math, then they can do co-requisites with credit classes. So we're trying to get them onto the credit pathway in a more accelerated way in the way that we've designed the developmental courses. ESL, similarly. Again, on the lower level of ESL, they may still not be able to get into some of the credit classes on their pathway, but the more they progress through the ESL sequence, they may then find themselves in a position that they can use that in a co-requisite format with some of their credit classes. It may also be the case that they can take classes in their credit pathway that don't have these kind of prerequisites for reading, writing, and math. For example, in Gen Ed, they might take their fine arts or their humanities requirements in art or music, and they may not have a requirement in math or reading and writing. And so there are a number of ways in which students, even though they may need some developmental preparation, can still get on the credit pathway.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Now, in your own words, what would faculty advising look like for us here at Prince George's Community College from a student's entry to an exit?
Well, from the student's experiential point of view, there are 2 components to the advising. There's the onboarding advising experience, and then there's the program advising. When students are in the onboarding phase of the enrollment process here, they will meet with one of our general advising staff in student affairs, and they will meet with that person and design their educational plan for their program. So depending upon whether they're part-time or full-time, they'll kind of figure out what generally kind of a course load I can take every semester, how many semesters is it going to take me depending upon that kind of course load, and so forth. What are the financial implications? You know, how do I juggle all of this with work and family and other realities in their lives that constrain the number of courses they can take. Once they've enrolled in their first semester, then they will be assigned an advisor in their program. Okay. And then once they've met with once they've met with that advisor in their program, then the advising conversation will get much more specific about career goals and what do I need to do to achieve those goals, both here at Prince George's and later on, whether it's an apprenticeship somewhere else or whether it's transferring to a four-year school. Do I need post-baccalaureate education to get to my goal? So once they get into the program and with the program advisor, then the advising conversation becomes much more specific about their career.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I really appreciate your time.
It's great to be here, Ennis. Thanks. It's good to be with you.